Hello, this is Kier. And this is I can never start these right. This is the hand-me-down shack where I paint weird internet pictures and talk about things that I want to talk about because that's what this is. It's a talk show. I don't know, this. I wouldn't say the art is the the first important thing of this program, but it's debatable if any of this is important. So take that for what you will. I think I'm going to talk about, well, this haircut, first of all. It looks like the worst F-boy haircut ever, but it's really just the sides are just cut short because it's something I've always wanted to try, and I've always believed that if anybody should cut the sides of their hair, it's me and other people that have the same hair as me, not just me, obviously. Because the hair on the top of my head grows out wavy, and the hair on the side of my head grows out extremely curly. Not kinky, just, kind of like that curly, like that's the radius. And it's not, it's hard to grow out. If I compare it to my top hair, I think that's the thing. If all my hair was the same curliness, I don't think I would mind it, and I'd just be used to it, or I'd be like, all right, this is just part of the deal. It's tough, but it's like the top hair is great. I'm comfortable with the top hair, but the side hair, especially growing it out, just sticks out everywhere. And so who knows? I might try to grow it out when the rest of this grows out, which is what I'm aiming for. Kind of dreading man bun territory because it could get that way. Maybe I'll have to do a little bang thing while the bun grows, That'll probably be what I'll end up doing. Could be a good look. Even though my bangs kind of suck, even though they are. Oops, sorry. This is a wine bottle that has a mic that I salvaged from a old headset. Even though I do technically have my bangs cut straight across, which is funny. I don't look great with bangs, in my opinion. Anyway, not that you can see on this ultra awful potato camera. It's all on purpose, I swear. So, why was I talking about hair? Oh, right, because it's long in the back, and it's fun. But I feel like on this camera it just looks stupid. But yeah, I'm like, I should just shave it, and it's so much more comfortable putting glasses on, all this stuff. I'm like, this is the haircut for me. And I kind of feel like I copied it from I copied it from gosh, their name on Instagram used to be Stitches Jubilee. Heavy Hands Embroidery. I don't really know their name at all. I just follow them. And they're super cool. They live in a van. I don't know, but they have this haircut. If anything, heavily inspired by it just makes sense. But also, like, I've seen it look good on these people that I follow. Multiple people. It's like, I feel like it might just be a thing in in the community. But seriously, I feel like kind of is. Anywho, do artists need to have a style? I guess that's what I'm talking about today. Tonight, wherever you're watching this, doesn't matter. Do artists need a style? So the reason why I picked this, it's been on my list for a little bit. But yesterday I was talking to my partner about how I was making something. I was making this actually. It's a penny holder, like penny collection holder, that's strung on half of a picture frame with a board behind it, and then there's other stuff, So there's fabric work mixed in with it, and that's a heavy part of the thing. But it's also like there's paint involved. There's much going on, as it were. So how did I arrive there? Because not all my art looks like that. And what I was saying to her was like, I enjoy the fact that, like, I went from, I did a show at a coffee shop recently, and I painted a lot of book covers for them because that was what I was painting at the time. I was like really into painting on book covers, and so I was trying to paint a book cover for I have a gallery that I work with, like very casually. It's nothing like contractual or anything, but I have this gallery that shows my stuff sometimes, and I was recently talking to them about switching some stuff out and putting some new things in, and I was trying to make some new work for this and tried to paint a book cover, wasn't feeling it. I was like, I can't do another book cover. Or this one, I'm going to like, I did it halfway and I'm like, I need to drill some holes in this and like put embroidery thread through the holes and like see where that leads me. And that gave me the idea because I was working also on a penny holder, just painting it, and I'm like, I need to do something else with it. So I ended up putting thread through it and all this stuff. I'm sure it's on my website or something in the future if you just look back. I enjoy that though. I enjoy being able to be experimentative with what I'm doing, and I don't know. It's like with music. It's like if something works out, you know, what if you don't enjoy it and then you have to play that stupid song for the rest of your career or whatever. Never have really hit that yet. I do have some things that work more than others I've seen. In other words, I have sold some art, even though in my head, like oops, my mouse is being really weird. In my head, I get really discouraged when I think about how much art I have sold, because I've definitely made like under $500 altogether through my whole, this is 2018 for like time reference, and through like my whole making anything on my own, I've for sure definitely went under 1,000, probably under 500, I'd say, overall. And if you plot that out on like a budget, or like think about what that means, for 5 years having this job of like making stuff, this job that I gave myself of making stuff, it's like, it doesn't seem too great. Like, it doesn't really make sense on paper at all. And whenever I think about it, I'm just like, what am I doing? But it's literally what I have to do. Like, it's the things that I do in my off time. It's this show, like, it just because I have to do it, because I want to put my ideas somewhere. And people just end up not engaging with it, but I don't care. And I think that in its way is kind of like fine, and kind of like right in a way, because like I said in, I think last week's, I was talking about Jerry Saltz, where he's like, you have to fail. It's like, you sort of do. I was recently thinking about YouTube and how, content creators complaining about, oh, my videos are getting demonetized. And I've said this before in Cure Paints Pictures videos. It's like, my stuff is getting demonetized. This sucks. I'm putting all this work in. I think it's even more kind of wild for people, maybe at the bottom, maybe it's just because I've had this experience of like being completely at the bottom of everything, like getting, I post videos up now, get no views at all, whatever. And I have had a few people from Instagram come over here, Doglift, shout out, and watch some of the stuff, but even then it's like, I feel like a lot of times it's not really the correct type of, well, I don't know. There's a few cases where it's like, this is the type of person that I want to be watching my videos, but sometimes it's like just these random people who I almost feel bad that they're watching, or like feel weird that like, did you actually, are you trying to, I don't know. Doglift is awesome though. You're super cool. I don't know. Anyway, but not many people have watched Cure Paints Pictures, have really told me that they like appreciate anything. I know that that's not a given, but it's weird to me to see other people on the internet where they're like, oh my gosh, like I feel like the type of content that I'm making could help some people. And I feel like when you do help people, you could maybe, if that type of person to reach out, you could maybe get feedback from them and being like, oh, you've helped me. I've never really gotten that feedback where it's like, thank you for making this. It's like, it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if I deserve that. I don't know if I've actually made something that could possibly help somebody. And I don't know if it's necessary for me to like, I'm not looking for that, but I just know that I have these ideas in my head and that they could probably help somebody, and therefore I guess I feel the need to share them. I guess I feel the responsibility to share them in a way. Really what it is I don't see examples for people like me. I don't see examples that I'm like, yes, they're doing it. And maybe if I did, I would be like, that should be me, I don't know. I feel like there's a need, and I'm filling that need, and nobody's there, right? So, thinking about things in that very negative point of view. Do you need to have a style? Do you need to have the one thing that you do that works over and over and over? Hopefully, I think where audiences now are getting more versatile is like they will follow you to where you want to go, and I think that's really cool. I think my mouse is dusty. I think that's what's happening here. Right, so the people that are interested in stuff you're making are a little bit more flexible, where it's like if you start kind of crossing genres, if you're a musician or whatever, they're not going to exactly complain. They might be like, because internet people are like, what? You did something different. What? There is that dynamic for sure. I'm like that too. I get it. I watch Philip DeFranco sometimes for like newsy type things, and he was saying how instead of saying beautiful bastards one video, he said, you beauties. Last night's video, he was like, I was just effing with people. I don't know if he was just effing. I feel like that was something like legal, maybe. Maybe he was just testing out something where I don't think he would, like, why would he just do that for fun? I don't really get it. But same thing where I'm like, I immediately scroll down to the comments and I'm like, where are people talking about this? Why did he say that? Because there's always been an issue with him saying bastards in his video. But I will say it as not bastards as a word, but like beautiful bastard. It's a good ring to it. But, kind of accidentally problematic, and I'm sure he gets not fun times for that. Whatever. He's cool though. Supportive of people and like generally tries to think about things correctly. So for me, I don't like to have a style. I don't enjoy being like tied down to it, and I don't really know if I've had many experiences in the past where I've had to be tied down to that. Like I haven't had somebody say, usually people that I work with creatively are kind of like, here's a direction, they give me some amount of flexibility, maybe not so much with like design stuff, and that's understandable because that's like, it's work. But, when your artwork becomes your work, same thing though, it's like I've never really been in that position of like, I generally can do what I want in terms of like making art or music, and it's been really cool to have that freedom. But I feel like there is this tendency for artists to stick with stuff that they know works, and even people, which this is kind of, it's interesting to see people who I would perceive as being not on the bottom, but like, not very popular and kind of like trying to be popular, whether it's like just starving artist type mentality, whatever, that type of lifestyle where they're like, I do want to make money at this, I don't know if it'll happen. That's me, but me, that type of mindset where you're trying for something, and you're just kind of, you're in a bottom space where there's not many people telling you things. There's it's rough there for sure. But it's interesting when it's like they have that style and they're pushing their style so hard, even at that bottom point. And I think as a consumer, I'd rather see experimentation. I'd rather see something new, especially when people's styles in that point of their career, or their career, when their styles are seemingly copying other people's, or like not exactly fresh seeming, that kind of bugs me and just makes me really confused, where it's like you're doing something that doesn't work. or it's like it's clearly not, like, it just could be better, I guess. I don't know. And then at the same time, it's like if they enjoy doing that, then that's whatever. If they enjoy doing it, then they'll just be doing it. Not everybody is into art exactly explicitly to make tons of money at it. Some people just don't care, and they just happen to post things on social media. So I think that is a good thing to remember. But I do totally, I've seen this where it's like they don't, they are trying to explicitly get somewhere, but just by doing the same thing over and over, and not really getting attention at it, or getting friends to pay money for the things, or like as a person who has interacted or has like known real life people that do that, I'm kind of disenchanted with it. It's like I end up just being like, well, I don't, you almost get what you deserve. It sounds so mean, but it's like it could be better. I would rather see them experiment and fail at the experiment, or just do something interesting. I think it's like sometimes it's just not interesting to the spectator to see the same thing over and over, just see it done to death and so exact. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's like a remnant of popular art culture, because I feel like to some extent most of this stuff is based off of like museum culture, and how we view art in museums, really, because a lot of that is not great. Like if I, as an artist, go to a museum, it's like, oh, I would like to have my art here one day, which like I probably won't. Like you never know what will happen. Like anything can happen for you in this weird world, especially with the internet, etc. You don't know that your work won't be in the MoMA someday. Not saying that for myself, because I don't know, but you go into these spaces and you're like, these artists are so celebrated, even though most of them are dead, and that's an important thing to remember. They're all dead. Like, and they're all probably shitty men, most of them. But you go into these spaces and you're like, wow, look at all the attention they're getting. And then you go home and you're like inspired, but you're inspired like on that path where it's like, I want to be like that. And I think that many artists, probably younger ones in that regard, have gone through that. And I feel like to some extent I still go through that, even though it's so stupid, and like I know that it's not real, of like aspiring to have your work somewhere really prestigious, or like, you have to know the right people. You have to go to art school. It's not for you, That's how I feel. I feel same thing with like driving past fancy houses. It's like, it's not for me. Like those things aren't built for me. I would have to grind so incredibly hard for so incredibly long to get there that it's not even worth it. Like I'd rather, honestly, I just want to live my life in a little house and be fine. Like, I just want to be okay. I just want to make it, and in the sense of like survive and be able to pay health insurance and eat food that isn't just like rice and canned beans and refried beans, whatever. Like I want to be able to be okay, rather than like, I don't know if that is people's views in other scenarios of maybe it's like wealth or whatever. I don't know. But again, rich people can fall from that and and have experiences where they're super poor and they have to, those types of things happen all the time. But I think just being where I'm at now financially, or like, I think, well, okay, so like if with transparency, it's like my parents sent me to private school and like they kind of paid for it. Well, no, they did pay for it, but they paid for it metaphorically in the sense of like we never like had much because they sent me to private school, which is kind of a little messed up, and I like have guilt around that about not being like a perfect Christian lad, I'm not that person, and they spend so much money kind of trying to make me that person, I guess. I know that's not maybe how they would see it, but somewhat like that. That's my own issues. Those are. But didn't have a lot of expendable money. And then especially when I moved away, being artist and like, interested in this type of stuff, it's like I'm just used to not having money. I have two phones. It's two phones isn't like a track phone and a non-service Android. Like I live super simply and super cheaply, and I try to pay as little as possible. And that's what I want out of life. And feel like people on the other side of things, like the art school side, like the connection side, like the New York City gallery side, it's like I don't know how it is for them. I don't know what it's like to be them. And it's probably way different. But when I don't know, when I go there, it's just like it's not for me. Like it's not built for me. Even though I feel like people, not me specifically, but people like me, as in people who are experimenting at the direct bottom. Nobody you show somewhere, nobody buys it. Like nobody gets what you're trying to do. Nobody even wants to talk to you about your art. Like that point, people at that stage that are actually doing something interesting are so much more worth it than people in, random New York City galleries that are just like painting or, I don't want to belittle those people in painting, but it's like, how many paintings have we seen? Like, come on. And I also don't want to roundaboutly sound like I'm fluffing myself up. Like I'm actually the one who, I feel like there's reasons why I don't get attention. Like there's clear reasons why it's me. But I think that in concept, like on paper concept, in the classical idea set where actually the last shall be first and the first shall be last, this flippage of things that always happens where it's like, oh, you thought the rich people were cool, right? Because they had all the money. No, it's actually the poor people who like have this better understanding of the earth, this backwards nature of irony and how life actually is and how it's perceived by the public and how that's wrong, etc. Those types of concepts I think really do apply to outsider art, to art in general, to young art, to new art, and hopefully, I have somewhat of faith that like somebody will eventually recognize that. Honestly, a lot of it is just like waiting for somebody somewhat to kind of give me and us at that stage chances, to take a chance on us. Also through that, I kind of have the mentality that like there are way other interesting people out there, like that have way more interesting stories than I do. So I don't know, I'm just floating out here. I don't know what really is happening, and I'm just living my life day by day. If you want to pick me up with you, feel free. I will appreciate it and shower you with things. But hasn't ever happened yet. People give me chances. I feel like, okay, this is another thing that might work well with this conversation. Another thing in terms of parents sending me to school, and in terms of my partner driving me around, spending all this time on me, all this time and money, sacrificing their own time to drive me to that gallery, to drop off my work, to pay for an art class when I was younger, all this stuff. I want not even to physically pay them back with real money, which I mean would be cool, like if I could buy my family and friends things because of how nice they've been to me, but more so to just show them, to have something to show. I think that's something that I really desire. And not even like, look at me, I have all this money now, I'm a famous artist. Fuck. But like, it's more of a feeling like I just want to like thank you for helping me get here, and like you did this, that's what I want to have happen. I want to have the people, to show the people in my life, like, you did this, it wasn't a waste of time. You made the sacrifice and it paid off. It paid off for me and it paid off for you. Like, I want that so badly. The older I get, the more it's poignant, because the older I get, the more time passes by, the more I feel like a failure because nothing has happened, with anything that I've done. And the more it's just like, guys, I swear, because it's really not it's not about the amount of work you put in, like somewhat it is, but it is more about luck and chance. So it can feel incredibly discouraging when you've put, a lot of work in and continue to, and just still there's nothing, like literally nothing to show, and that's a very tough place to be at, because other people, it's literally like somebody co-signing your loan. It's like other people are tied in with you because they've driven you places, they've given you things, they've been like, yeah, I'd like to see how this works out, like, they've spent their time on you because they saw something that could work out. They just gave all they had, and what they had wasn't like, a random famous musician being like putting you on, or featuring you, or whatever, like a famous artist getting you a show and wherever, like creating something to blow you up systematically through a certain channel. Not saying that that's what I expect or need, but I'm saying that that's a thing that has happened before, a la Post Malone. I don't know. These types of situations, especially with the internet, they've happened before, and the reason we see them is because they have blown up. The reason we don't see people who have not blown up is because they have not blown up. You have to realize that. You have to realize that the people on the bottom are invisible, essentially, and you cannot find them because they don't, internet makes it easier, but it's hard. But I just really want to show the people in my life that it was worth it. And I'm just so tired of waiting. I'm tired of waiting, because every day I get more disappointed in myself, and I know that it's not me. I know that like I'm doing what I want to do, and I think that what I want to do is like a good direction to go in. Maybe this show isn't the best example. I just need somewhere to talk. So instead of doing like an audio podcast where I just talk to myself, I'm drawing these dumb memes. Like, just know that this isn't the best example of something that I'm proud of. I just want to talk. But I just want to show these people that have taken chances on me so badly that, like, thank you. You've done this for me. What can I do for you now? Like, I don't know. I just really so badly want to, and I'm lucky that I have those people who have taken chances on me in the first place. I'm lucky that my partner still drives me around to places when I can't with my bad car. Like, I'm really lucky to have, but that's the thing, like, I just feel like a waste. I just feel like, like I don't do anything important. Like, I know that that's not exactly true. And to some extent, I feel like, especially with some of the art I do, it's more, even though I think it's okay, and like it's up to my standards, it somewhat relies on other people's validation. And so far I don't know. It's like people just tell me to like, oh, just lacquer it. Like, nobody. It's not that nobody gives me feedback, because I don't really want feedback on visual art, I guess. And the only feedback I really get is just like, yeah, just make it like shinier, It's more of like, even with music, I know with the stuff I make, it's like there are the things that I make I would want to engage with. Therefore, if I exist, they exist. The audience exists, and that's what I don't know if I made a video called Finding Your Audience. I don't. There was something I said in a past video about that, where it's just like the audience just has to find you, and until that happens, But I don't know if there are even out there, like statistically. It's like the oh gosh, what's that statistic about aliens? How they're if you put it on paper, there are probably aliens somewhat, maybe not close to us, but definitely in the universe, like the Fermi's paradox. I don't know, whatever that is. That type of thing where they're out there. They might, the probability is they're out there, but they might not be. The probability is also that they might not be. But I have hope somewhat that they are out there, and that they might have money to spend, or at least like praise to spend, or like word of mouth to spend, and in turn that can lead to money. I guess it always comes back to money in our capitalist society, unfortunately, which is not ever what I inherently want. I do work for money, but it's like it's not my main. I never really go into things. Besides, now I've been doing more work where it's just like purely for money, and I wish I didn't have to, because I hate it. It's like I don't like to do that. I would rather say no, but I'm at the always have been at the point where I have to say yes. And there's so many people like that. Of course, I'm not the only one who feels that way. But it does always lead back to that. But it's like I've seen so many examples. Like I mentioned in the other video with Awful Tune, Mike. Even just people being supportive. Like when he makes a post about like nobody, people don't engage. It's like they for sure do. Even just the response on posts about kind of like self-doubt posts. I think, well, it's interesting. It's like when you have a following like that, you kind of get the response. If you're like, my stuff sucks, like you get a response of like, no, it doesn't. I think when I do that, my whole audience is kind of like creators and artists, so they're on Instagram at least, the one place that I do have somewhat of a following. The response is usually just like, yeah, I feel the exact same way. And I think there's for sure a balance to that. But I don't know if things will get better for us in the future. But if there's anything that I could say to the collective us, the collective we, it's like, don't worry about the whole style thing. Like, don't make that a focus. The whole branding thing is like, it's dumb, and it won't be, like it works, and it has worked for certain people in the past. But if that doesn't feel right, if it feels right and you're fine doing the thing, and it makes you feel good, and you get, I don't know, brain chemicals from doing it, and it's a good path to go on, then like do whatever the heck you want to do. Do not listen to me. But if it doesn't feel right and you're like, I should be doing something else, but I have to stay branded, I have to stay on brand, I have to, don't just do what feels right in terms of art, or in terms of music, in terms of writing. Just follow that, and it will take you places. Use your weird animal brain to your advantage. It'll make stuff up for you. Like that's what I experience. I don't know if everybody's brain is like that, but like there are ways to kind of, whether it's harnessing dreams, or just kind of letting yourself be a little bit still for a minute, meditative wise, and just playing with your brain. There's so much to make and to have fun with, and to stay in one style for you know, years and years and years. You know, from the outside, it doesn't seem to be a fun time. It totally could be. I could just be, you know, for the people that I have, my friends that I have seen do that, that could just be projecting, whatever. But the reason that I mention it is to just tell the collective us that might feel a little bit jaded by that notion that we have to have a certain brand, that we have to always be on brand. No, you don't. There's another option, and just because you are on brand doesn't mean it'll happen. Because you're off brand doesn't mean it'll happen. That's not really a component to the formula in most places. In some places it is, but I would just encourage you to say, like, screw it, don't care. Because in my opinion, the things that come out of not caring and just like pure energy, direct, like, you know, creative barfing are way more interesting. You know, directional barfing, not, you know, point that barf somewhere, don't just explode and burn out, but are so much more interesting than the thing that works. In some ways, I am blessed enough to not work, you know, in the sense of not be successful at all, like not, you know, be $500 in for 5 years of art, $100 per year. That's my my payment for, I don't know how much I've made off art. It's probably, yeah, it's under 500, I would say. Art and music. 80 from Bandcamp, 250 for a piece one time. Add 50, another piece. Add another 50, another piece. What was that, 300? 350? This is embarrassing. 350, 380, so we're like 400. There has to be more. Yeah, maybe 200. Alright, so maybe over 500. Maybe around 600 to 700 overall. Because there was those skateboards that one time. And I think I made like 100 or like 150 in a night selling reshaped skateboards at a skate shop, which makes sense. Some things make sense, but I don't want to always do that because it's not always fun for me. So that's the add up. It doesn't make any sense, and that's okay. Right? Like, let it be known. Let it be known that that's okay. Because I feel like a lot of people, especially if they're just starting out, they're like, why am I not making money off this automatically? It's like, you won't. You probably won't unless you get lucky. And that's okay. It's normal. It's literally normal. I'm trying to normalize not getting money for your art. Like, and I know that's been a thing forever. Of course, it's been a thing forever. You know, I'm just trying to get the idea out there. I don't want to complain. I don't want to say, oh, woe is me, I only made this much. Because that's how it does seem sometimes. And I have fallen into that, you know, step sometimes where people are like, ooh, it's cringy. But I want to normalize and make it known that, like, if you're out there, it's not going to work right away. Because nobody, like, needs what, it's not like it's food, you know. You can make good food pretty easily. We have recipes online and all that stuff. And it takes a few fails. And then you get good at making food. You get your bearings. And, you know, even sometimes bad pizza is still pizza. You know. But for art, it's like people don't need it. Some people want it. But, you know, just be your own creative factory. And follow whatever you think is the best direction. So, do artists need to have a style? No. Thanks for watching.